Hi everyone, this is Yann Camus from Bliss Climbing, and today I want to tell you about a backup method for lead rope solo, and it should blow your mind. Pull it like this, the second one and the third one, I undo it. Incredibly simple, super light, and there's always the last one if nothing else catches you. 4 kilonewtons, 12.5. I think that's good enough. This backup method, I've seen it used in 2017 by Fabian Buhl.
Fabian was initially a boulderer, and from what I could tell, he was also disciplined in that way.
I thought at the time that someone would get it out, figure it out, but it never came. You might have seen one backup method by Brent Barghan, very popularized. Look at his blog post, Red Point Lead Rope Solo. This is a very efficient method, but this one I think is more efficient and is lighter also. So it's pretty incredible. Maybe the knots, they can undo themselves sometimes a little bit more than other knots. So just be careful about that. Look, you have, for example, a lead rope device like the Grigri, and I will set it up with the rope. Ha! The rope is already tied down there to the bottom belay anchor, right? And I will pass the rope. I used the held upright system. It's a Grigri Plus in top rope mode. So this, by the way, is by no way rope solo course. Go see my website, click here to get the course. I think this is very worth the investment. 12 hours of videos. You will learn so much. I want a cache loop and also backups, because if the Grigri slips, for example, I fall upside down, it will slip. I have to modify a little bit my harness. I will show you later in the video, but when it's done, you basically pull, so maybe 1.5 meters of rope right there. And then in the sling, that is a full strength attachment point that I added to my harness, I will put the rope like that. So live rope here, dead rope here. I make a twist and I pull the dead rope side like this. And I get a longish loop on this side and I push. So it cinches well like this. Maybe, you know, if it's too big, it will be in my way when I climb, but I don't want it to be too short because I want a little bit hanging like this. It will keep the knot done in my experience. And then second loop, I do the same, maybe 2 meters. I go a little bit to the back, twist the rope like this, pull the bite through, then cinch it well, make the loop the right length, and I do it again, and I can check that the ropes, they are strong towards the live side and they are weak then on the dead side. What's interesting is you'll see that the live rope is always towards me and the dead side is always on the outside. So to undo these knots while I climb, very easy, I pull on the dead side, so the side away from me. And for the last loop, I will want to make maybe a figure 8 on a bite, and then use a locking carabiner. I clip it on the strong point that I created on the harness, and I lock it. And this last knot, I will not undo it before I do another one if I need to at some point. It's really my last backup knot if everything else fails. So basically now I climb, and then I get close to the backup knot. I want to release it, so I just pull on the dead end of the rope away from me. I just pull and it undoes the knot, and I can continue climbing and climbing until I reach the next one. I pull until I reach the next one. I pull it, and then I get to the last backup knot, and hopefully I reach the anchors or a ledge where I can have both hands and rearrange my ropes. And all these backup knots, I can push them to the back when I don't need them, and I can have my gear loops accessible to place gear and whatever, to use them. When I'm close to anywhere, I think I will need to undo the backup knot soon. Maybe I can grab the loop here, take it back to the front, and whenever I need to undo, well, it's just release. So I wanted to know how strong these slip knots are in that configuration. Look at the testing. So now I will use a Mammut 9.5 millimeter. It's I believe the Infinity is the model prior to the Crag. It was a dry rope. So I make a slip knot. Right, so I started pulling on it. It didn't move too much. I will look at it. I went to a max of 0.44 kilonewton. So it tightens as crazy, and I can see that there's a loop happening. I will just let this pass here some friction, so there's the least amount of friction on the slip knot. I went to 3 kilonewtons down to 2 kilonewtons. But let's see. Okay, it collapsed twice. It reached 4 kilonewtons before it went out of the system. Do you think it's strong enough to make a backup knot? And so 4 kilonewtons, that's not super strong. So I figured out I could do better. I can lock the slip knot. Look, when I prepare my backup knot, I will then do the exact same thing. I start by pulling the bight of rope, I twist it, I pull the bight of rope, I pull on the dead side of the rope, I pull on the loop. When it's cinched, what I do is I pull another loop of the dead rope through. I can hold it in my teeth and cinch this loop here. When it's cinched, I can remove the slack at the bottom, in the loop at the bottom, and then I can remove by pulling the dead side of the rope. I can make the loop a little bit smaller, and now I can pull things finally. Okay, and so I did a slip knot and another slip knot through, always with the dead rope side. So now when I pull really hard on the backup knot, it should be stronger. And look at the testing. So I went to 3.4 and it did not collapse yet, but it's very close to it. Let's see if I can pull more. So I went to 6 kilonewtons and it's still holding on. So it's all collapsed. I don't know if I can undo it, but I mean, it would have saved my life in 99% of the cases at 6 kilonewtons. Let's pull. So I went to 12.5 kilonewtons, macrame knot. Wow, the knot was completely impossible to undo. I had to cut the rope, but it saved my life. And so you need a knife on you, and you need all the skills to get yourself out of trouble afterwards, but it saved your life. So it might be good sometimes. In order to undo these macrame knots, you just pull a little bit longer on the dead end, and it's the same thing. And now, if you're convinced that this method is for you, or you want to try it, you will want to know how I modified my harness. So look at this. Look, so I take this 60 centimeter sling, I position the soon part at the end there. On one side it will be at the bottom. Here I will do a girthage in the tie-in points. So just right where you have a belay loop. So going up, I create a small loop there, and I pass my sling inside it right there. I want the loop here to be loose in order to not create too much friction on my tie-in points. Maybe have it a little bit bigger than the belay loop. Here I'm using a Petzl ring open. By the way, I've had it unscrew on me, so I'm using Loctite these days, the blue one. You want the sling to be as close to the top of the harness as possible. So now I will use some tape. I will set the end of my sling right where it can go. So I need the loop to be big enough, and then I will pass the tape like this, and I tape my sling as high as I can, so right at the edge of the harness, and I tape it to the back, and then I do the whole way around like this. So the sling is not too tight, but just it's good enough, you know. And what I'll do is I'll set the part right by the tie-in points, and I will do the same thing, but I will go around both of the slings because I never want some backup knots to be as close to the front of my harness, basically. So just like that, and keep it everything together. So now the bottom sling, I don't want to use it, and the top sling is the one that I will use. And I will cover only the bottom part of the sling. I hope this keeps it where it should. There should not be a whole lot of tension on it. Let's see in the front. Yeah. And now I will make a few reinforcements here and there. So here, and this side of the harness is not adjustable, so obviously it makes things way easier. If you have a buckle that's an adjustable one, maybe you want to fix it out so it doesn't move at all, and just adjust the other side when you put it on and off. If all my weight falls on the backup knot, it will not break the gear loop. So now I will just make sure that this part here stays where it should, and I will make it bunch up a little bit where the sling is, and I will tape it backward on the back and backward also on the front. Okay. So basically when my sling gets pulled like this, the tape is pulling it towards the back, so it resists the pull. And to make it stronger, like in my case, but you'll have to adjust with your harness, see what works. I can take another long piece of it. I think that should be plenty strong enough to keep things tidy when I climb. So please, if you have ideas or versions for your harness, please post it in the Facebook group, Lead Rope Solo group. Different kinds of these setups will help different people with different harnesses and different tastes. So after using this modification, I noticed that this sling here was becoming slack, and you don't want that. So what I did is I made it tighter, and then I put more tape right on both slings going to my tie-in points, and also I fixed the loop by putting a little bit of tape there, and I find that this is more durable. Thank you to Fabian Buhl for showing that. So please push the like button, subscribe to my channel, share this video, and go see my website blissclimbing.com. You'll see online courses about top rope solo and lead rope solo. Thank you very much.